It has been a few years since I originally made a video titled My Number One Tip, and in that time a lot has changed for me on YouTube. But the tip hasn't. It is still the thing that changed my relationship with Factorio the most. See, when I play Factorio, I use this setup: a mouse with a thumb trackball and an Xbox controller. And the reason is simple. When I play WASD, it hurts my fingers. I can play Factorio for many, many hours in a row. I can play Factorio for many hours in a row for several days in a row. And playing with WASD over a long time span caused my left hand to ache significantly. Hovering my hand over the keyboard is just not a natural pose to hold, and so for me at least, it was not a sustainable way to play the game, or at least not over these several days kind of time spans. So I set up an Xbox controller in my left hand, and instantly the problem went away. The controller is just a comfortable thing to hold. It is fundamentally designed to be that way. A keyboard is not designed to be a multi-input controller for gaming, or at least not in a comfortable way, in my opinion. It is designed to be a device for typing, not game playing. Now, as is always the case with these things, there will be people for whom this doesn't apply and who will hear what I'm saying as heresy. WASD has gained a certain reputation as the go-to way of playing PC games, and I am stepping on that a little. C'est la vie. For those of you still watching, what I've been doing in the background is collecting up resources from around the factory because I'm playing space exploration and I need to take a whole load of stuff into orbit so I can work on my novice orbit platform. This is both kind of B-roll and also a demonstration of how this setup works. But let me just take you through the specific configuration that I use. Okay, so before I blast into space and kind of show you this array in action, I just want to take you through the settings of the way kind of I've set up, because the way that I kind of see this is like a blank sheet of paper. You can kind of set this up how you like, but I will take you through how I've done it because that might be illustrative and informative for you going forward. So obviously, control stick shows our little man to moves him around. Pretty standard stuff, I think. The directional pads. If we go up, that opens up the menu. If we go right, that opens up the technology tree. If we go left, that rotates stuff. So let me pick something up that needs rotating. So we can rotate things just like that. The down key will clear whatever we're holding, but also act as a pipette. So we can kind of look at stuff and pick stuff up depending on what's around us. And then on the control and shift key, the control and shift keys are mapped to these two triggers. So we can kind of copy stuff and paste stuff depending on what you want to use control and shift for. I think I've got control set up for the button and shift set up for the trigger. So that's kind of the stuff that's set up for the left hand. Obviously this is the stuff that we use all the time. These 6 commands are very, very useful to have easy kind of within grasp. But I've also set up stuff on this stuff, so on the right-handed side of the controller, because there are some functions we need, and we don't necessarily always need to have our hand on the mouse. If we're running around the map, then our hand is free to do whatever we want to do with it, and we can kind of do other things. So on here, I've got the map set up as the Y key. I have actually got these other buttons set up as other things. I think B might be enter, so I can enter trains and stuff. Let's whiz over to a train. I think B is set up as enter. X is set up as tab. I don't know what A is set up for. Anyway, the taking off with the jetpack I've got set up as the right button on here, so I can kind of run around and jump over stuff. And then the fire key I've got on the right trigger, so that will fire at stuff. I don't ever use the fire key. That's just there. That's it makes sense to have the fire key as the right trigger. I just don't happen to use it. So that's the basic mapping that I've got. What I want to do now is to whiz over into space and show you this thing in action. So we are now in space, and to kind of demonstrate this whole thing in action, I'm just going to start building the thing I need to build, which is, or will be, a really complicated little factory, to be honest. We aren't going to see the whole build. This is the kind of thing that is going to take me hours, which is, you know, exactly why I need the controller in the first place. And while this is going on, it is important to note one very particular area where this controller setup does not work, for me at least. Removing biters with a tank. If I'm being completely honest, just driving a tank is a challenge with the controller because the directions on the controller stick do not apply to the principal directions we see on screen, they apply to the principal directions of the tank. Throw in some added complexity of trying to aim and shoot at the same time, and for me at least, the controller is no longer the right chap for the job. In my experience, the only good setup for removing biters with a tank is still WASD. But that is it really. Both with the limits of the controller setup I'm advocating for, and with the video. A short one today. Till next time.